It's Jay Kim from the Oregon Surf Perch Fishing Club back at Wade Creek. It's Friday, I want to say it's April 22nd. I left my watch at home, so not sure all the date and times and stuff, but I do know it's around 7 a.m. and low tide was at 4:30 at a 0.4. The interesting thing today is that high tide's only a 3.5 foot high tide. So there's a very small swing. It's only a 3-foot swing over what, 6 hours. So here's the south. So you see how rocky it is right here. And again, with tide being so low today, there's a lot of exposed beach on both the north and the south. I'm going to try south because I've been getting skunked on the north. And with the lower tide, I'm hoping all the rocks are exposed so I don't get snagged as much. But I don't know if you can see it, but see all these rocks here are usually submerged in water, and there's a lot more rocks down there towards the water line. So when I've been coming on the south, I've been getting snagged a lot, and some people have lost rigs there, but I could also feel rocks clanking on every cast. So fishing conditions are, it's about 47, 48 degrees, but man, it sure doesn't feel like it. There's a slight breeze about 3 to 5 miles an hour straight into my face right now. And swell energy is around 770 with 6 foot height, or 6 foot swell, sorry. So, and catching conditions actually look pretty good on the south. Man, there's some nice waves over there. So I'm just hoping it's not Snag City. Okay, I'm gonna keep heading to the south, and but again, can you see all these rocks here? Man, I can't believe how many rocks there are. But at high tide, you know, about a 6 or 7 foot high tide, the water's up in those rocks there. Because I remember casting from there, and now you're casting into all this stuff. So, you know, it's very easy to understand, you know, why you're losing rigs if you're casting into this area. So that's why I'm going way south to avoid all these rocks. And I see sandbars out there, so that's where I'm headed. But again, look at all these rocks here. And I don't know if perch hang out in rocks like this, but it wouldn't be worth it to me to fish there because you lose too many rigs. Coming to Wade Creek, I usually have landmarks on the south and north I use to locate my places where I catch. So this is the first landmark that I use, which is this cliff, this hillside that, you know, dips down, and then this jutting rock right here is my second landmark. So I usually fish between these two, although I have gone further south than this rock here a couple of times last year and did really well. Okay, and again, see all these rocks here? So again, these are all submerged during higher tides. Yeah, catch conditions look really good right here. All right, and I'm just south of my first landmark. In the water, catch conditions look really, really good. And I don't feel any rocks on my first cast, so that's a good sign that there's no rocks. We'll see if I get any action though. Okay, so this is cast 5, no action. Been here, I'm guessing, about 20 minutes. Again, I don't have my watch, but I notice as I'm drifting south now, there's a tremendous drift from left to right. As when I was up further north, there was hardly any drift. So I'm having to reel up a lot more often right now so I can recast. I'm guessing I've been here about 30, 35 minutes. Got in about 9 or 10 casts, so I'm gonna go walk up to the north by the tree. So I fished from my first landmark to about 2/3 of the way to my second landmark, and no action. So I'm just gonna go straight up to the north, take about a 10-minute walk. The thing is, I'm walking up to the north, is that the south cliffs there, water's usually, you know, within 20, 30 yards of that. And today, man, I can't believe how much space there is between the rocks and where the water is. So it's supposed to be like a 1.5 foot tide, but man, I haven't seen it this low, even when I've come at 1.5 foot. Anyway, so it's just kind of interesting how the forecasts say one thing, but then when I come to the beach, it sure looks a lot different. Just at the little bit north of the creek, but I see birds here, so I'm going to stop and take a few casts here. I always like to see birds in the water when I'm fishing. It's pretty shallow, but we'll see. The forecast, the other thing that's not accurate was the force today, because it was forecasted around 770, 780, and I'm guessing it's not more than 300 or 400, if even that, because I'm standing up to my knees, and I can't usually do that on 700 energy days of wave. All right, second cast on the north, no action. So catch conditions here actually aren't as good as in the south. There's less breaking waves, they're further out, and the breaking waves that I can't reach, they're much smaller, and they're very far space between. Whereas in the south, man, they were coming one after another, and they were pretty big. But, you know, it didn't translate into action down south, so we'll see how it goes on the north. Just like my third cast on the north, man, that was a nice bite. Finally. This is definitely a red tail, but man, that was a nice bite. So I am just south of the first set of trees. Oh, did it come off? Oh, I lost. No, maybe it's swimming in. Felt like I lost it for a second. The bottom natural, man, this thing's heavy. I don't want to break my rod. All right. But I haven't felt a bite like that in a long time, so that was really nice. Okay. So this is the first fish on the north for me in a long time, red tail. Okay. Yeah, it's a decent one because it fills my hand. Okay. And it is, where's my measure? 12 and a half. So 12 and a half incher. I'm a happy camper. So third cast on the north. That I was commenting how the wave action wasn't as good here as the south, and then I got my 12 and a half incher. So, you know, it just goes to show you can't always read the waves. For my red tail, just I'm getting a bite. But I was just saying I'm getting a bite, and I had to wait a long time though. It's a decent bite. I'm pretty sure it's not a silver, but I think it went away. So it's 2 casts in a row where I've gotten bites. I just have had to wait a long time to get them. And again, I'm in the same place, just south of the first set of trees. Bad part of where I'm fishing right now is that there's a really strong drift from left to right. So your rig's moving, you know, pretty quickly. Okay, so I took 2 more casts with no action. Again, I had 12 and a half red tail on cast 3, a bite on cast 4, took 2 more, 0 action. So I see this really awesome sandbar here that goes way down there. So I'm walking around the trough to get to the sandbar, and I want to take some casts closer to the water. Okay, I don't know if you can see it, but so there's that trough I just walked around, and then you can see how far the sandbar comes past the water in the trough, and I was fishing down in that water over there. So I'm much closer to the breaking waves here. And catch conditions look a lot better here. Don't know if it'll mean action, but it looks pretty good. I guess I've been here about an hour now. I'm not really sure without my watch. This is like my 4th or 5th cast on the sandbar. And oh, I just got a bite. Man, I was just gonna leave too, but I just got a bite. Like I lost train. Oh, I'm still getting a bite. So I was gonna leave, but now I'm getting a bite here. I'm just north of the trees, but I was gonna say catch conditions will look really, really good. So now that I got a bite, I'm gonna keep trying for a few more casts. This will be, like I said, my 4th or 5th cast on the sandbar. I want to say it's either my 9th or 10th cast on the north side. So give it a few more shots. Last bite, here's what my rig looks like. Top 2 worms are bitten in half. All right, so try it again. Okay, so I did 2 more casts after I got the bite and got sucked into spending 5 more minutes here with no action. I'm gonna head back to the parking lot. I'm gonna try 1 or 2 more casts where I caught my red tail, but I'm done for today. It's funny because it says it's 47, 48 degrees right now, but I can tell you it feels more like 40, 41 because I can hardly move my hands when I'm baiting my hooks. So I looked at the forecast next week. Conditions are rapidly improving because almost every day looks good next week to fish. So I'm gonna be going out several times next week. So I'll just come back when it's a little more pleasant, man, because it's kind of chilly today. 2 casts on my way out with no action, right where I caught my red tail, so I'm definitely calling it quits. So let's do a summary. So for the first half an hour or so, I did 10 casts on the south. Good thing about that was that at least there were no snags and no action. So it took about 6 or 7 minutes to walk to the north. And on my 3rd cast, I believe, I got a 12 and a half inch red tail. I got a bite on cast 4, nothing on 5 and 6. So then I moved to that sandbar on the north side. Didn't get anything until my 4th or 5th cast. I got a bite, and then I got 3 more casts in with no result. So then I quit the bar, took 2 or 3 casts on the way out. So about 15 casts on the north, got 1 fish and 3 bites. So, you know, at least I didn't get skunk today, but action's still pretty slow. I'm hoping it'll pick up next week when I come back. So I'm hoping I can come back several times next week because the forecast looks pretty good. Okay, that's it for today.